Hey guys, it's Glenn here from Ready Set Piano, and welcome to the worship series. This is 6 lessons that are going to take you from, even if you've never played piano before, you don't even know what the notes are, we're going to take you from there, hopefully getting you ready for your worship team. So this is a contemporary worship program, 6 lessons. I'm going to show you how to play chords. I'm going to show you about playing, if there's some difficult chords, what they are and how to play them. I'm going to show you different ways to play your chords. I'm going to show you how to improvise, talk about keys, and we're going to look at keyboards and how to get the sounds that you want for worship, as well as transposing, being led by the Spirit. And we're going to, our last lesson, we're going to delve into songwriting, if that's something that you would like to get into. All right, we're going to start. Let's start by praying. Father God, thank you so much for worship. It is amazing, and thank you for the transformative power that it has in our lives when we worship you, Lord the King. And so, Jesus, we thank you for everything that you've done for us in our lives, and so we're so excited that this series will help us to play better in our churches, to have better music that will lead to people being able to worship you better, and for your kingdom to grow in your mighty name. So Holy Spirit, we ask that you would help us as we learn and as I teach in your precious name. Amen. All right, let's get into it, guys. So I'm assuming that you may have never played piano at all, and so I'm going to teach you actually what the notes are first. Now, if you've already played piano, you kind of already know what the notes are. You might want to skip ahead here, but I'm not going to take very long to do this. I'm going to actually do this fairly fast. Now, if you are, you may just need to go over this and practice this yourself, because I'm going to move fairly quickly so that we can get you up and running in no time. All right, so the notes of the keyboard, the musical alphabet only goes to G. So we go A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. They are the white notes on the piano. The black notes are flats and sharps. The sharp is represented by a hashtag kind of symbol, and the flats by lowercase B. All right, so here's how we find the notes on the piano. I think one of the easiest note to find is in between the 2 black notes is a D. All right, anywhere on the piano. So here's another set of 2 black notes. There's a D. Another set of 2 black notes. There's a D. All right, so anywhere you've got 2 black notes, so you've got the 3 black notes, the 2 black notes, the 3 black notes, 2 black, anywhere you can find those 2 black notes, there's your D, right? And that's the middle of the A, B, C, D, E, F, G pretty much, right? So if you go backwards a few, or you go forward, you've just got to use the alphabet, D. So A, B, C, I'm going to start with A, right? But I'm not going to show you what that note is first. We're just going A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Now we start again. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Right? That's all of the white notes on the piano. So I want to encourage you, if you've never played before, just press pause and just play a few notes and go A, D, C, G. Just kind of work them out. I mean you're not going to be able to do that as quickly as I just did it then, if it's your very first time playing. All right. So, okay. After that, we want to know what the black notes are. Right. So the black notes are so if we go down from whatever our white note is. So here's our D, right, in between the 2 black notes. If I go down from this D, all right, that's a D flat. So if I go left is what I'm saying. If down, I mean, you can hear that it goes lower, hopefully, but it's also down, right? So that's a D flat, or it's the note C sharp. Okay, so we go up from this C, it's a C sharp, okay? So these black notes have 2 names. They're either a flat of something or a sharp. There's also double sharps and double flats, but we're not worrying about those, and you'll probably not see that in contemporary worship music as well. You probably won't see that. All right, so anyway, if you do see that, go down twice. If you go double sharp, go up twice. So we got D. So if here's a G, so if I go up from that G to the black note, it's a G sharp. If I go down from it, it's a G flat. Okay, so have a go at that. That is literally how to play any of the white notes and the black notes in terms of like how to find them, to work out what they are. Okay, so that's our starting point with worship, obviously, because we've got to kind of at least know what the notes are. Okay, now with most contemporary worship, it's really just a lot of major chords and a lot of minor chords. And so now there's a lot more complex chords than that, and there are, and we do use them obviously in worship, because worship is just music, but it's being used to glorify God. So we'll be coming across that later on as we go through the worship series. We'll be talking about more complex chords as we go. But for now, for today, I'm going to teach you all about how to find every single major chord there is, how to find every minor chord there is, and we're also going to talk about how to do chords that have different bass notes as well. Then we're going to be talking about, in another lesson, we'll be talking about inversions and voicings, different ways to play those chords, plus different chords as well, the more complex chords. But for today, we're going to be using that with two songs, and I'm going to teach you to play these two songs, at least in a basic way. That the Blessing, which is a fairly new piece of music, and the other one, How Great Is a God, which is a few years old now, of course. So let's get into that. So I want to teach you first then how to find any major or minor chord. Now there is some bigger theory to this, which we'll delve in lesson 3, I think it is. Yes, lesson 3. There's some bigger theory to that, but for today, I just want to go to kind of a cheap way of finding out any major chord or minor chord. Now, obviously, you can look it up on the internet. That's obviously a way that you can do. You can type in, what is the notes of C chord, and you'll probably come up with something, all right? So, however, I want to show you the really simple way. Now, to find any major chord, you just play that particular note. Let's say I'm playing E major, or sometimes we say E chord if we don't, when we're meaning E major, right? When we're talking about E minor, we'll always put the minor on at the end, but we don't always put the major on the end. If we just say, hey, play E, and we're talking about chords, right? Or we say play E chord, what we're saying is play E major chord, okay? So if you're not specifying what the chord is, what type of chord it is, it's a major chord, right? So let's say I'm trying to play E major, just the E chord. Got to start with the note E. There's your E, all right? Remember in between the two black notes is the D. The next one up is an E, all right? E, I want a gap of 3. Now this includes the black notes. 1, 2, 3. There's my gap. All right, so I've got a gap of 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, and then I'm going to have a gap of 2 notes. 1, 2. There you go. That's E chord. E major. Simple. All right, now you might want to play that with your left hand, with your right hand, play it with both. You can do that. All right, there's both. I might play an E chord like that, and I'll play an E note in the bass. And we get that sound. Okay, that's how you'd find E chord, right? So let's do it on another one. So I'll start with C chord. Now this is usually kind of the first chord that most people learn because it's easy to play. It's all white notes. Why is it all white notes? Well, 1, 2, 3. There's the gap. Gap of 2. 1, 2. All right, there's C chord. All right, so that's all it is. C chord. All right, let's pick another note. B flat. There's a B. I'm going down from the B, so there's my B flat. Gap of 3. 1, 2, 3. There's a D. Gap of 2. All right, now you can play that with one hand. Now, in terms of fingers, what fingers to use, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I encourage you obviously to learn how to play piano really properly. But for the meantime, if you don't really need to worry too much about it, but you got to find something that's comfortable for your fingers, all right? Now you don't want to be playing the same fingers all the time. You want to be able to move your fingers around, okay? So a good exercise, just to get all your fingers going, do that. Now I've talked a bit more about that with the other lessons in Ready Set Piano, so I'm not going to go there with this particular lesson series, the worship series, okay? So there's our C chord. We've got a gap of 3 and a gap of 2. Let's pick another note. I'm going to go with A, all right? So, no, A flat. I'm going to pick A flat. So here's an A. I'm going to go down. There's an A flat. Gap of 3. 1, 2, 3. There it is. Gap of 2. There's your A flat chord. All right, so that's how you can play. There's only and there's 12 of them because we've got 12 notes. 1, 2, 3. I'm going. Here's A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then our A is back again. Okay, so it's a repeater. So there is only 12 notes to play in on the piano. Okay. All right. So that's every major chord. Now every minor chord, to work out any minor chord, is a gap of 2, then a gap of 3. So that middle note is lower. So here's our C chord. That was the C major chord. If I do a gap of 2, that means that middle note's come down. So now I've only got a gap of 2 and then a gap of 3. If I play the E minor chord, here's my E, gap of 2, gap of 3. So in this case, E minor has no black notes in it, right? It's all white notes. Okay, so that's as simple as it is. So minor chords, there's a major chord, E major chord. The middle note is lower. Okay, the middle note is lower. It doesn't mean it's going black note to white note or anything like that. It just means it's lower. So it means it's one note to the left. Okay, but you can think of it as a gap of 2 and then a gap of 3. Literally, that is it in how to find out how to play every single major chord there is and every single minor chord there is. All right. Now, let's put that into action straight away. Now, I have just grabbed this off the internet. This is How Great Is Our God. And so that piece of music there on the side, all I've done is I've literally grabbed that from, I just typed in How Great Is Our God, and I got this on the internet. I think it was Ultimate Guitar or something like that, right? So give a shout out to that particular website that helped me out. Now, you could probably find this in any way possible. Now, your worship leader probably has the charts for you and will give you very specific charts for you to learn. All right. So, having said all that, we've got a few chords. Now, I just want to point out a couple of things here. Now, this is a G, which just says G, right? So that means it's a G major chord, right? Now, there's here, it says EM7. This is referring to E minor 7. Now, I wanted to show you that now because we will be talking about minor 7s and you can see here it says C2 here as well. We're going to be talking about that along the way, but not in this lesson. For now, we're just going to leave off the number. So we're just going to play the G chord. We're going to play E minor, the chord E minor. And then we're going to play, instead of the C2, we're just going to play C chord, okay? When we get down to the chorus, it's literally the same chords, except there is one extra chord down here, which is the D chord, okay? But apart from that, everything is exactly the same from the verse to the chorus. And the bridge, which I haven't included in there, is the same as the chorus. All right, so let's see if we can do it. So we've got our G chord. So we're going to find the G note and play it in a kind of an area that kind of sounds good. I mean, you could play it up here. Can't even see my hands there, but I'm playing. It doesn't sound great. Right down low, not so great either, even though it is a G chord, right? So I'm going to play it just here, around about the middle of the piano. This is middle C. If you don't know that already, there's something worthwhile knowing. Middle C. So I'm playing around middle C. So here's my G. I've got my gap of 3. And my gap of 2. There's my G chord. Okay. So the splendor of the King, 2, a 3, 4. Then we're going to go to an E minor chord. Now, so we're going to find the E. We work this out just a little bit for it. Gap of 2 and a gap of 3. There's our E minor chord. It's that same shape. Can you see it's the same shape? Now, so here was the G chord. That's the D note there. I'm literally playing this note next, right? But the same shape where I'm missing a white note, right? So I'm going up here. Now, I could have gone down. 2, 3, a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm using fingers 1, 2, 3. You could use 1, 2, 4. You could use 1, 3, 5. You could even use 2, 3, 5. That'd be fairly comfortable as well. I'm using 1, 2, 3 because I'm kind of turned around to kind of look at my computer and change some things around there for you guys to be able to see on the screen. Anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to do it for 4 beats. 2, 3, E minor. I'm going to go up for the C. There's my C. Now we worked out C chord before. It's a major chord. 1, 2, 3, gap of 3, gap of 2, 2, 3, 4. This one gets held for longer. 2, 3, 4. Now, I just want to point out something about most of the charts that you'll be seeing in contemporary music. In contemporary worship music, is most of the time it's chords written above the words. Okay, now this is really helpful, particularly if you're the worship leader. Maybe you're playing the guitar and singing. You can kind of just in one go. It's quite easy to be able to look at the. It's really easy to look at the lyrics and look at the words at the same time, right? So here you can see, you could sing and play that fairly easily. With most professional charts would have some kind of bar lines, and it would tell you exactly when to play it and how to play it, at least in terms of what beat to play it in. Now, it doesn't say that here, so you do have to kind of at least know the song to some degree, which just means you need to have listened to it a few times at least. And so when the word comes up cloved, that's when you're going to be changing that E minor chord. Now, at least close to that, it maybe not exactly it. So the splendor of the King, 1, 2, 3, 4, clove, and the chord, that particular chord actually changes exactly on the E minor. So we can do that. Rejoice, I think it's not quite exactly. I think it comes in on Joyce. Let all the earth rejoice. Just after Joyce, actually, it comes in. So it's like the splendor of the King, 1, 2, 3, 4, clothed in majesty. Let all the earth rejoice. Let all the earth rejoice. 2, 3. We're going back to that G chord. Wraps himself in light. 2, 3, 4, etc. So have a go at that. Now, press pause, have a go, come back as soon as you can. All right, so I'm assuming you've had a go, you've pressed pause, or you don't need to press pause because you get it already. It's easy, all right? Okay, I get that. Here's another thing you might want to do. You want to add in some left hand, all right? So now, usually it's okay to just play the root note, which means it's the bottom note of that chord. So if I'm playing a G chord, I can play a G, all right, below there. It kind of sounds all right, right? Usually that's pretty good. Sometimes you can get in the way of the bass player and play a note that's he or she may be playing a different note of the chord. And so it can kind of get a little bit muddy. But most of the time in contemporary worship, particularly if you're not very experienced, you're probably playing in a band that's not super experienced as well. And they're probably, if the bass player is playing a G chord, he's probably playing a G note too, right? He or she is probably playing a G note. Okay, so we've got a G chord here. You can hold it down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I went down with my left hand and up with my right hand. 3, 4, kind of sounds good. And going the other way. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You could play octaves, which means it's 8 notes apart, right? Octave, right? 3, 4, E minor. I'm going to play an octave. So it means I'm playing an E and an E. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to change it around a little bit for the chorus here, and I'm going to play I'm going to play 1, 2, 3, 4 on my right hand, but my left hand, I'm just going to hold that down. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Now I'm playing the 1 beat a little bit louder, and I'm playing the 2, 3, 4, not too loud. I don't want to kind of bash away. I'm trying to be sensitive to kind of how the song needs to be played. So I'm playing the first one a little bit louder and then softer. Repeating the bass note there. I'm going to go down on both this one. Why? Because I feel like it. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, the verse, that's the verse, right? Now, the chorus has a D chord in it, so we've got to go to the D and do the same thing we've done before. Gap of 3. 1, 2, 3. Gap of 2. There it is. That's the D chord. Now, the D chord's got the F sharp in here. So D, F sharp, and A. Eventually, you won't have to do this gap of 3, gap of 2 business, all right? Or the other way of working out the notes 1, 3, 5, which I talk about in another lesson. But you won't have to do that. You'll just know D chord, and you're just like, okay, bam, there it is. And that's what eventually you want to do. You don't have to be thinking too much. When you see D chord, you want to be able to call there it is, or there it is, whatever the different inversion of it that you want to play, the different voicing that you want to play. You just want to know that. But for now, if you can, if you need to work it out like that, that's fine. After playing this song a few times, you are going to be ready for that. You will be fine. Okay, so there's that D chord that can go in there. So here's the chorus. How great is our God? Sing with me. How great is our God? And all will see how great is our God. There we go. Now the bridge is the same. Name above all names, but you can play the same chords, and you could experiment with some different rhythms, something like that. Think about how long you can play certain things, and have a go at that. We're going to talk a little bit more about playing different rhythms and improvising and filling it out a little bit later that is in lesson 2 and 3. All right, so that's coming up real soon. All right, let's do just one other thing that I want to talk about for this particular lesson is chords and bass notes. Now, sometimes the bass notes are written to be different to the chords, okay? And so sometimes those bass notes are part of the chord, and sometimes they're not even part of the chord at all. And so, or what you would probably think are part of the chord. So let's say we're playing a C chord. Here's a C chord. Now, sometimes we'll see C chord, and then it'll be a slash E. And that would mean don't play C on the bass, but play E on the bottom. Okay, so here's C on the bass, and here's E on the bass. All right, so it sounds a little bit different, and look, most of the time you probably don't have to worry about that, particularly if you're only playing with one hand. And if you're playing in a worship team and you've got the guitarist playing and you've got the drummer and you've got the bass player, you actually don't need to play that much. As a team player, you really don't need to play that much. It might be just kind of filling out a little bit. So that's different. Now, if you're the only person playing, that's different, because it might be a little bit empty if that's the only thing that's happening. It's just you playing piano, right? So but as you get better, you'll be able to fill it out. You'll know what to do. So we got C chord on E. It could be C/G, which would mean C chord on G. I'm going to play the G down there. Sometimes the chords change. It goes like C chord, then it goes to C on E, and then goes to an F chord. Sometimes that happens, right? So that's something to think about. And so we're going to demonstrate that and learn that with the song The Blessing, which is a relatively new song. Here it is here, The Blessing. And again, I just went to Elevation Worship's website and found this, and that's where I've grabbed this. So you can go to Elevation, I think it's elevationworship.com, and you can find this, and there's so many places you can find it. Now, I've kept this one in the key of B. Now, I'm going to talk about keys in in some lessons coming up soon. I think lesson 4 it is. We're talking about keys, but I've left it in B. B is actually a relatively hard key to play. It's got 5 sharps, so 5 black notes in it. But because I have taught you the gap of 3 and the gap of 2 rule, and the gap of 2 and the gap of 3 rule for minor chords, you can literally play this. So sometimes people get stressed out about these chords that are not C chord and G chord and A minor, which are usually the first chords that you learn. Because of that, people get stressed out about, I don't know how to play those chords. It doesn't matter, because all you got to do is have that gap of 3, gap of 2. It's a piece of cake. All right, so the Lord bless you and keep you, make his face shine upon you. We've got B chord to start with, all right? So all we have to do is find that B, 1, 2, 3, and a gap of 2. There it is, there's B chord, right? We've got E chord. Now, we played E minor in How Great Is Our God. So here's the difference, E minor, E chord. Okay, now here's that slash that I'm talking about, where the bass note is different to the chord name, right? D sharp is part of the B chord, we just worked out that. So here's the D sharp. Right, so instead of the B, you're playing the D sharp in the bass. So you'd play the B chord, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's the E chord. Right, here comes that D sharp, right, on the B chord. 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to play the F sharp chord. Now that's got all black notes there, the F sharp one. Still the same rule applies. The gaps are applying. Then we have G sharp minor. Okay, so you've got to find the G sharp first. Don't forget sharps, flats, they got nothing to do with minor chords or major chords, right? That's your starting note. That's the note you're going to build the chord on top of. So we're going to find the G sharp. Right, there's G, going up 1, because going up 1 is the sharp. And we're going to play the minor chord from there. So we do the gap of 2 and then the gap of 3. There's our G sharp minor. Okay, and I'm using 1, 2, 4 to play that. Now, you can see my thumb here is right on the end of that G sharp, but my second finger is quite a long way up. I'm not trying to play it back here. If I try and play it further down the piano, it's really difficult, especially because my thumb's, one of the shortest finger that I've got, right? So I'm playing it up here, and I'm playing the D sharp kind of in the middle. Just find where it sits well on the piano. So with your fingering, not only are you thinking about kind of what fingers you would use, but also, whereabouts on the piano you can play it. I mean, you can use all of the piano, right? Not just all of the piano going left to right, but all of the piano going up and down, okay? All right, so that's our G sharp. What other chords do we have in this song? I think that is it. We've got a B, an E, got B on D sharp, so it's the same chord but a different bass note. We've got an F sharp and we've got a G sharp minor. So we have 4 chords. Now, let me give you a secret, is most contemporary worship songs will have 4 chords. Some have more, obviously, some have less, but a good standard, solid 90%, 95% potentially have 4 chords. And most of the time they are 1, 5, 6, and 4. Not necessarily in that order, but that's most of the time. There are some others as well that are quite standard, but that's quite common. We're going to talk about that later when we talk about keys and transposing as well. So anyway, this is in a difficult key, but it's in the original key. It is a little bit high for me to sing, but I wanted to leave it in that key for you to kind of have a go. So I'm going to have a crack at it. Please forgive me. It is higher than I would normally like to sing. The Lord bless you. Let me just grab the music there in front of me. All right. The Lord bless you and keep you. Make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face right, so obviously you need to know the song to know when to change the chords. But did you notice that the chords didn't change most of the time on the actual words? There was kind of in between the words. Chord. The Lord bless you. Chord. And keep you. Chord. So think about that. Now, look, it's pretty much 4 beats to the bar for all of them, for each chord, except that last B. I'll point to it there. So this B on D sharp and this F sharp, they get 2 beats each. But apart from that, it's in 4 beats. Now, when we get to the chorus, same chords, different order. Amen. Amen. Yeah, cool. All right. I won't keep going because my voice is going to crack it going up that high. All right, guys. Hopefully that helps you. So have a practice of that. See if you can play those 2 songs. How Great Is Our God is an easier one to play, particularly the key that I've picked for you guys to kind of have a go at that first. And, of course, the Blessing in the key of B is a little bit harder, but I think you can have a good crack at that and you will do well with that, I'm sure. Now, we will be playing a whole bunch of other songs in our next lesson, and we'll also be, of course, learning a whole bunch of different principles that will help you to play even better. And but go away and have a practice of all of that. You might want to find 1 or 2 other pieces of music that at the moment you're playing at church, and you could play those as well and have a bit of fun with that. Maybe find it in a key that works for you, for your voice. You can kind of just muck around with it. You can download some different ones, but I'm going to talk to you a little bit about transposing in another lesson real soon. All right, so the things we've covered today, the notes of the piano, the sharps, that's the hashtag, that's going up, the flats, that's going down, and so we got, here's E flat, okay. If we go up from this E, we actually go to this F here, and that's actually called an E sharp as well, another time. Here's a D, D flat, D sharp, all right? Okay, we've also talked a bit about our chords, gap of 3 for a major chord. Don't always call it a major chord. Sometimes we just say it's a B, or it's an F sharp, or it's a G minor, or it's a G flat, sorry. If it's a minor chord, we'll always mention that it's a minor, okay? That's really important. The slash notes, the slash is helping you to be able to play, know what bass note to play as well. All right, have fun with that, guys. I'd love to hear some feedback from you. Let me know if that's worked for you, how that's going for you, and I will chat with you very soon. I'm looking forward to seeing you in lesson 2. All right, bye for now.